PhD, right? PhD.
Is that the vice?
Yeah. All right. As I said, we kept the best for last, right? And so in this session, our students are going to share their experience in the program. And this session is going to be moderated by our own education director, Dr. Lauren Leon, who has been doing fantastic job for long. So big hand for her. And a big hand for our students. Okay. Hopefully they will do well. But then we will again clap at the end of this. All right. Okay, Lauren, it's all good.
All right, so welcome to the student panel. So what we're gonna do is let them introduce themselves. We have some kind of pre-planned questions to kind of highlight aspects of PREM that we think are important, but then we want to open the floor for you guys to ask questions. And I'm looking at you, particularly those of you who just started out in the PREM program. I see some of you that I interviewed a couple weeks ago. This is your chance to kind of get the most out of our more seasoned PREM students and ways to succeed in this program and beyond, right? So without much more explanation, let's meet our PREM scholars. So our first question is a very simple question. Tell us about your background, and we can start with Dylan all the way on the right.
Hello, everybody. So my name is Dylan Jeff. I am a PhD student at Dr. Conacher's lab. I've been with PREM for about 4 years in the semesters, so quite a while. So I was born in Honduras, but I moved here when I was about 2 years old. And since then, I was raised by like a single mom, and she was always at work. But I found a lot of I guess satisfaction from like learning and like watching a lot of scientific programs, and that's really what like led me to pursue science. I'm glad to have the opportunity to work in science through PREM and under Dr. Simon Conacher. So yeah, that's some of my background to give you guys an idea.
Hello, my name is Robert. I kind of similar to Dylan. I was born in Miami. My family came over here on the dream flights in the 60s from Cuba. And I grew up with a single dad. Similar, like I said to Dylan, it was a long line. He was at work all the time. And I would sit around and build computers and just basically learn as much as I could. And that's what started my inquisitive nature, basically. And that's why I'm here.
Hi everyone, my name is TJ, originally from Tallahassee, Florida, actually. I kind of grew up with a busy household, I guess you can say. My parents worked a lot, so I was kind of more like on my own-ish. But luckily, I was really interested in the STEM field and stuff like that. So that's kind of what led me into my current career path here. I'm currently working in Dr. Kanji's lab. This is my third, going on my fourth year being in PREM actually, so it doesn't seem like it, but it's been quite a while. So.
Hi everyone, my name is Eileen. I'm originally from Venezuela. I moved here to the US about 5 years ago. I'm an undergraduate, senior material science and engineering. My family doesn't have a lot of background in science, so every step that I've taken has felt like a huge jump for me. I started in community college and then I moved here, I transferred here to UCF, and that's when I found out about material science engineering as a major. Um, as of right now, I've been in PREM for 2 semesters and I'm currently in Dr. Banerjee's lab.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Nathan Valdez. I am a fourth year graduate student here at UCF, and I work under Dr. Matt Duping. I guess my background is I actually come from Texas, a little small town called Oaxaca. I'm a first generation university student, college student. Kind of in my family, like being successful just means going to like the closest plant nearby, and that's kind of what that entails. But I always was interested in science and went to Texas A&M University, got my bachelor's in physics and minor in mathematics.
Thank you very much, everyone. I appreciate you being really open about your backgrounds. Some great responses and really interesting. I want to talk about PREM, right? So you've all been PREM in different amounts of time. How did PREM change your outlook?
Okay, I'll start. So, when I was applying for grad school, I had this entire list of all the places I was gonna apply to. And then I looked at like the, like administration fees, all that, kind of calculated it up. I'm like, yeah, I can't pay for that. And so I only applied to 2 places. I didn't hear back from either of them. And so I was like, oh, I guess grad school wasn't like for me. And so it wasn't until Dr. Conacher called me saying, hey, there's this opportunity. Would you be interested? I did an interview with you, and then kind of changed my whole trajectory on life. But yeah.
I think I've learned how much undergraduates can really be involved in research. I learned how being curious can actually get you far. And I think I learned how to be confident in a lab setting and seeing myself as someone who can actually contribute to science instead of just, struggling to learn from textbook.
So I think I'm gonna come from like a little bit of financial perspective. So I always kind of knew I wanted to do something research related, but through my undergrad years, I worked a lot because I had like self-fund my education and like housing and stuff like that. So most of the labs that were around were kind of like volunteer based. And as a college student, I cannot financially afford that. So it was actually just an email that the physics department sent out one day for PREM, and I clicked on the link and I did an interview, and the next thing you know, they're paying me, and then I'm actually enjoying what I'm doing. So it kind of like led me into kind of opened the door really for me to actually be able to do research and still be able to, I guess, fund myself through my undergrad career. So.
I wanted to clarify something with Dr. Andrea under the IRG one. But how PREM changed my outlook, it's kind of surreal for me because my father didn't graduate high school. He dropped out. So I had no idea. There's generally like no, how do I go about this? How do I navigate? What am I supposed to do? I don't have anyone to answer these questions. So having a framework and more importantly, having at least people around that have the ability to answer those questions, provide guidance, it made it seem like it was possible. I can do this. And there are people that care. So I would say that's the biggest factor on how crime has changed my life.
Okay, so for my answer, I want to talk about how in undergrad I wasn't really doing any research. Well, I basically did no research. So I was one of those students who just, I guess, stuck to the textbook and passed his classes. I did participate in some clubs, but essentially PREM opened up like a whole world of, I was very interested in research, but a whole world of possibilities in terms of research. Because once I arrived here, in Dr. Sacco Conacher's lab, like before even the first week, I was already in the lab. I was happy to be in the lab learning from my mentors at the time and from Dr. Conacher, and it showed me like how much opportunity is laid out for students. You just need to go out and get it. Not only students, right? It's individuals in general. And that starts even in undergrad. So when I see like undergrad students here on this panel, students in my lab, I'm always happy to see that because it shows that PREM is doing more than just changing it for me, or at least it did more than changing it for me, also changing it for like these other students, in my opinion.
Thank you. And all of you have had the opportunity to either visit our partner institution or other institutions. How do you think this has impacted your journey or career?
So in summer 2023, I believe, I went to the University of Washington. I was actually there with TJ, as well as a few other PREM students who have either graduated or maybe they're not here right now. But that experience was amazing because I was actually so here at UCF, at the time I was a much smaller group. When I reached that larger group, at UW under Dr. Matthew Yankiewicz, and showed me like the differences in between having so many more people who are very motivated and doing the thing, if you will, which is doing research. And seeing that really motivated me into maybe dedicate more time and like see the value in actually putting more of myself into something, so that way I see something come out that's also valuable at the end of the day.
I think for me, there was a particular moment that meant a lot. I love mathematics. I love like whiteboard sessions. I love kind of interfacing with other people and just putting all your ideas on a board. And I was kind of struggling with something. There wasn't really my mentor wasn't there at the moment. And I remember I just went to Dr. Cobden's office randomly, and he helped me understand the wave function that I was trying to really wrap my head around. And it was on a whiteboard. Took time out of his day just to interface with me some of it at a very high level. And I think that moment kind of stuck with me. And having other people that are willing to also enjoy it and enjoy teaching and enjoy engaging with a student like that.
That was University of Washington.
Yes,
Let's go.
it was over the summer.
Like Dylan said, we went to the University of Washington at the same time. I think the biggest impact that it had for me, aside from all the others, is that just like the different way of like thinking at different universities. Because of going to a wet chemistry lab is like a really big jump for me. So their thought process, their way of thinking, the way of solving problems, completely different than ours and at my home institution UCF. So I think that kind of broadened my thinking skills, I guess you can say, so I can look at a problem from a different perspective and apply that to my own research.
Yeah, I think I got the same experience as CJ. I haven't had the opportunity to go to Utah, but I did do an REU this summer at the University of Alabama. And I think I got to learn how big research actually is and seeing how all the labs are run differently and learning all these new techniques and all new topics that I might actually be interested in.
Thank you. I think last year I was kind of like wondering, it's like, oh, what am I gonna think of after grad school? And it's like, I've heard about like, oh, go to academia or do all this other stuff, but I always thought like national labs would be like pretty cool experience. And so last summer I actually went to Los Alamos National Lab and got to work there for almost 6 months. And I think that really kind of like impacted how I kind of like thought my future is gonna go, because it's like, oh, now there's kind of like a pathway that I can see into that and just see a different perspective of what I do here at UCF, but at a national level.
Sounds like a great opportunity. I would like a new question, new topic. So let's share a rewarding moment from your research experience.
Okay. I think in my research experience, like I've been fortunate enough, my professor like sends all of our groups to like different conferences, and especially like local and international, national conferences. What was it? I think last year when we went to the Material Research Society, MRS, in Boston. We had a poster session, and normally during poster sessions, it's like, maybe I'll get like one or two, like a few number of people will actually come by, like my poster, and think it's interesting, but then go about their day. But I think at MRS, I ended up getting like best poster award, and like when I got best poster award, people came up to my posters like, "Ah, you deserve that." And I think that was like, yeah, people actually like what I do. And so that was a really enriching experience.
That's really cool.
I think I have two moments that I'm proud of. First of all, I saw my name on a published paper. I think as an undergraduate, that's really huge. And this year, about 2 months ago, I had the opportunity to go to the my first national conference, AUS. And I got to hear amazing talks. I presented my poster, so that's pretty cool. And I even think that being here, even if it's a Q&A, I think this is cool as well.
Mine is similar to Islands. So like seeing my name as an undergrad on a published paper is really cool. But then also my first authorship publication was probably the most rewarding so far.
I love all of it. There's the picture, there's like a meme of, it's from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where he has like the board behind him and like a whole bunch of strings and stuff like that. I like that for research, just trying to figure out something and and then when it clicks, and then when it actually works, and then when you see the thing in the book, you're like, wait a minute, that's the thing, I'm wrong. And then so yeah, all of it. I enjoy the entire process. I think yeah.
So in my case, I would like to highlight two. So it's very similar to TJ's first choice, second choice, which was that first published paper. When I did that, it was great, right? It was like I guess a milestone. Well, of course, it's a milestone, but it was huge because I wrote it with the help of Dr. Conacher, and I did the experiments, and just seeing my work go out into the field and get its few citations, its first few citations, was cool because one, I was deemed worthy enough to be published in a peer-reviewed journal, and then two, I was deemed worthy enough to be cited in another peer-reviewed journal, right? So that's awesome. However, I think the most I've gotten, like the most rewarding feeling, if you will, is seeing like other people in my lab, specifically undergrads. Maybe 2 years ago, there was an undergrad named Kamal Harrison in our lab. He was a PREM scholar as well. He had his first author publication, and I was second author on that during his undergrad experience with us in the lab. And just seeing him succeed and also go through the same process I did at a much earlier point in his career was really gratifying because again, when I first met him, he was like, there's a saying for this. He was really green, like new guy, he was really excited to do things, and it was really cool seeing him motivate himself to do things, and it helped motivate me as well. And then recently as well, so last fall, I believe, I helped another student in our lab. His name is Ryan. He went off to do a CSAT presentation in CSAT. I think it was his first conference. He was in his fourth year as an undergraduate in physics, so it was his first opportunity to do so. And I helped him with his poster. And then here as well, Javier also presented something at the research symposium last spring, where I think he won a poster award for that, one of the best poster awards. He also won $100, which I haven't seen anyone. But so so yeah, just seeing him succeed was awesome because I'm not trying to take credit for anything, but just seeing that we motivated each other to reach that point, and that's awesome in my opinion.
Thank you, Dylan. And if you enjoy, helping others succeed, I have a career for you. Sounds like you should be a professor. I mean, you're showing a lot of those traits. Next question. Is there something that PREM taught you beyond research?
So it's hard to isolate PREM and a PhD from this, but well, because I was in PREM, I'm in the PhD program, but essentially problem solving, right? So we're problem solving and getting the things that are needed in order to finish the thing that needs to be done, right? Whether that be, in my sense, when I was younger, maybe even in undergrad, I was very timid, quite shy. As I got into graduate school and interfaced with a lot of very smart people and people who knew how to get things done, they showed me what was necessary in order to get those things done, and that's being very persistent, being in some cases annoying, and that's sometimes necessary if you want to make sure that you get things done by a certain deadline. And so I guess at the end of the day, it's just being able to look at a problem and solve it or provide a solution that is going to be substantial.
How not to be awkward in a group of more than 3 people. So I think that's like the biggest takeaway. I was able to hang around people that thought, similar mindset, especially in Boston. And we went out to dinner all the time. And I usually just stay quiet in groups like that over dinner, just because I'm not used to that. And eventually, towards the end, it made a big impact. And then it also helped me in my research because groups tend to be more than 3 people large. So.
Yeah, I kind of agree with what they were saying, but I think the main thing for me is like just communicating. So like interfacing with other groups that may not be in material science, maybe chemists or physicists, So like conveying your problems or ideas, is definitely something that PREM has, kind of taught me, and it kind of goes beyond just research as well. Like I believe one of the panelists yesterday was saying, you know, when you're trying to, I guess, sell something to someone and they may not have like an engineering background or a chemistry background, you gotta have to convey your ideas in such a way that they can understand it and help you at the end of the day. So I think friends definitely helped me out in that regard.
I think I've noticed the value of community. I noticed how important it is to build connections, network, communicating, and I think that I've learned that science is very social, and having support systems like that is what has helped me grow, and I'm pretty sure that's gonna help other students grow as well.
Yeah, so I think maybe one thing that Sprint's taught me is like working with other people. So like especially more interdisciplinary. So I know through PREM, with my first author paper, working with a group through PREM, Dr. Yanowitz at the University of UW, where he does like STM, just kind of like being able to work with somebody that doesn't do the exact same thing and kind of exchange ideas, but with the one goal in mind of get this paper out type of thing. And especially it's like with PREM, you have not only physics people, you have chemistry people, you have bio people, you have all these different people, and being able to exchange ideas, that's pretty important.
Absolutely. That's the point. Interdisciplinarity solves some pretty big problems. What value do you think research brings to your career? Even if it could be a career in research or a career outside of research.
I think being able to communicate your ideas. I think physics has kind of like the perception. It's like people don't know what you're talking about type of thing. And so when you're in like PREM, where it's like, I'm not just talking with other businesses, I'm talking with chemists, I'm talking with bio people, being able to talk about my research in such a way that everybody can understand, I think is valuable. And I think that's something that PREM really helps with.
I think that besides building a strong resume, I think that research helps me build patience and resilience and I don't know, problem solving skills, because sometimes your project doesn't come the way that you want it to, or you don't learn something as quick as you want it to. So yeah, a lot of patience.
I think for me, besides what they have said previously, just like in communication and stuff like that, what for the career that I want to have, luckily the research that I do in the lab is kind of pretty much like a one-to-one correlation. So all the skills that I'm learning now are 100% applicable to the career field that I want to go to, whether it be optometry, X-ray, AFM, 4.0 measurement, stuff like that. So just for my case, just doing the research and giving me those skills and expertise is definitely going to boost my career going forward.
So my favorite book, the Book of Five Rings, he talks about this thing called there's learning is just learning, strategy is strategy. It's the same, it's in all things. And I think the big takeaway that I have from that is learning about learning, or you can call it meta learning, I guess, right? I think research embodies that. So the great example, Joe always jokes about this with me, is that last winter break, my car broke down and the valve cover was cracked. And I remember I told him, I was like, look, I can understand nonlinear optics. I can read the schematic for this car and fix my car because I didn't have money for an engineer. I was able to do it. So it's like the tools that research gave me taught me how to teach myself. You know, you go fishing. If you fish for a man, you can move fish. He's good to eat, but you teach him how to fish, he's good for the rest of his life. Hopefully, if there's water nearby.
Okay, so I think it's you know, So I think this is a funny question, because my career is research, right? So the value that research brings to my career is, it substantiates my career. And I don't want to just leave it like that, but it essentially, having the opportunity to do the research essentially sets me up to understand what my life will be like in the future, when I move on to do other things also in the research field, as well as showing me like the hardships and the I guess the rewarding feeling that you get from finishing things, getting things done. So yeah, it's the research experience I have now is essentially just opened doors for me and showed me that it's definitely something that's possible. It's definitely something I'd like to continue to pursue. And it really set me aside as far as knowing that I generally don't want to be stuck making the same thing over and over again, like at a product line, for example. I do want to be innovative. I do want to be learning new things, and I do want to be contributing to a general scientific community. So yeah, I guess it just further cemented my career choice.
So you want to see students succeed.
You're doing this to yourself.
I just keep hearing the same thing.
What are you doing to yourself?
I feel like giving lectures.
What do you want to do in the future?
Okay, so after STEM, what?
After PREM, after PhD.
So
Grad, undergrad, what? If you're a grad, what?
okay, so as a graduate student, there's a quite a large range of different paths that you take, that I could take. In my mind was always something along the lines of like a national lab or an industry. As Leon is joking around about, maybe academia or staying in academia could also be a path for me, and that's a great path, honestly. I mean, Dr. Conacher, I believe, is a great person, and he's very, what's this word? Influential, or I look for doctor, and so being a professor would be awesome. It's just that I feel like it's a lot of pressure, getting that research done, and then I have to rely on these undergrads that I like to see succeed, but sometimes won't succeed, or grads, I mean, okay, I'll.
No pressure, by the way.
Yeah, I know, but
I just want to contribute somewhere, just pick a spot that hopefully around technology or something on the edge of science or technology, some problem that needs help, and just helping and contributing to that and being able to make a living of that's what I want. That's my future plans. Now, where that is, no idea. Can't tell you where that's going to be. It could be anywhere from integrated photonics to who knows what, but yeah.
So definitely not academia for me, only because, like Dylan was saying, it's professors are under a lot of pressure, and I didn't get very little credit for it, and that's just not a career path that I don't think I could handle. But definitely, something along the lines of like a process engineer, for what, I don't know. Maybe overseas somewhere, maybe Europe, Germany, Japan, who knows? But definitely after grad school, definitely, like I was saying, industry, and maybe a little bit of traveling interleaved in there somewhere.
I really have enjoyed my research experiences, so I realized that I want to do grad school, and I'm a senior, so I'm currently applying to different schools for a PhD in material science engineering. And then after that, again, who knows, maybe same as TJ, R&D engineer or process engineer, where, I don't know.
With me, like being at Los Alamos, that really kind of like, it's like, yeah, maybe I do want to do this. It's like it's like the middle in between academia and like industry, where it's like you get to do like cutting edge research, but then like you're also like getting more money. I mean, it's as a great person once said, it's the best of both worlds. But yeah.
Maybe.
Well, a great answer.
Yeah,
That's a good answer.
yeah.
Those are our planned
That
questions. So now we'd like to open the floor
for questions from the audience.
Waiting for
If
Sydney's
you
hand to
could
go up.
please get closer. I mean,
Come on, Sydney.
You know you want to.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Come on.
You can stand up also from the others, or I'll have to take this. Okay. I'll bring the thing.
I mean, he loves me, that's fine. So I don't know.
I'm starting, right? What happened?
Oh, it is.
All right, brother.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, just.
Well, I know most of you guys, and I work with you obviously, but then it's like as a PREM student, how have you been able to balance work life and like fun life and social life? And so no, PREM has like some socialism, but outside of that, how you guys able to balance lab life and personal life?
Where's Dante?
As a graduate student, I do my best to make time for myself, I guess you could say, whether that be, something as simple as going to Burger U after work on a Friday, that's most of my free time is spent now with other graduate students, believe it or not. But it's honestly, it's mostly like together, like something like I hang out a lot with Dylan outside of work, but then we're still talking about work or like hanging out. So it's like, work-life balance. It's kind of there, but like I said, I just try to carve out as much time as possible for myself, just so that I don't you have to enjoy life at a certain point, but also get work done. I do my best.
So, as a joke, I echo what Dr. Garvey said at the end of the last panel, in terms of the difference between work-life balance in industry versus that in grad school and undergrad. I don't want to say it, but essentially, hopefully, you guys remember he was right. No, I'm joking. So, I also remember another quote, not a quote, but rather something that I think Sydney told me, someone else had told him, which was, yeah, I know, it's secondary source. Essentially, he said something along the lines of, you can't make your home your lab, but you can make your lab your home, in the sense where you can find ways to fulfill these like socialize with other people within your group. And in the case of me, I'm at NSCC, so there's other people in the program as well that I am able to interact with. And meet with after my lab hours, or even during lab hours, because I'm waiting for something as I'm writing, and as I'm taking data, I can always like bounce ideas off them. So as far as socially, that's where I get my gratification from, if you will. I have a lot more friends like back at my hometown in Miami. So I also try to find the time to travel to see my mother as well. Okay, that's a very important thing. My family as well is back in Miami, where I can try and see the people who I grew up with essentially, and my support system, as well as talk to them online. So essentially, just making the effort to see the people that you want to see and spend time with people that you want to spend time with. Which means you have to sacrifice more time outside of lab to do lab things sometimes. But that's all in the idea that you'll then set aside more time later on to then have these experiences, do things and things and all that. Anyone else?
I guess the making the lab though, right? That was
Yeah.
that was you were saying that from Sydney saying
That's
that
someone else.
okay. I think that's really important, and I think also what's or just making friends with the people in your lab. I know coming in, like I was kind of worried that I wouldn't be able to make friends, but then going into my lab, now I'm friends with all of my people, my lab mates and stuff like that. And it's like it makes when we go to Beamlines, we have to collect data for 48 hours nonstop. It makes it more fun when I can just joke around while collecting data, doing the science that we need to do. But still having kind of like that social aspect to it. And I think that's really important.
Right.
The source of the quote was Hassan. He works at NSCC.
Okay.
Hassan,
That's-
he works at NSCC.
Oh, that's a primary source.
Oh, okay.
That's the primary source.
Did you get that from somewhere?
That's okay. All right. More question. Yes. Yeah.
Do I get the microphone?
Yes, you can.
Oh, yeah. Get the microphone.
Nice.
Grab it.
Okay. Hi, guys.
It's been kind of floated around that PREM is super interdisciplinary, but can you guys talk about specific times that you've worked on a project and then like talk with other groups or send it to other groups and what that looks like? I know we heard one person's name shouted out a lot today. A lot of others have a lot of different people, so.
Sorry.
Collaborative.
So, so yeah, so when I take my data, I try and make sure that it's good data, if you will, like I'm taking pride in that. And then when I try to explain that to people from other disciplines, whether it be biologists, chemists, I don't think they're chemists, engineer, mechanical engineer is maybe about here. I try and phrase things in a way that helps them understand what my value or what my work's value is in their field or in their research or the questions that they're trying to solve. And so a lot of that came from reading, reading the literature, and that first paragraph is always like, all this research is amazing for these reasons, and people have been reiterating this over and over again in all the papers. And so you essentially get an idea of how to pose your research as being important, aside from the fact that it probably is important. And then secondly, going to conferences, which not to shield them, but PREM afforded me the opportunity to go to a lot of conferences and seeing a lot of talks from very established individuals and how they address rooms full of people that are different disciplines, or in some cases physics, but different subfields of physics. You pick up on a lot of techniques, if you will. And these techniques can be extrapolated to whatever you're trying to do, whether it be in a paper, whether it be one-on-one talks with a collaborator or a presentation like here at PREM. Yeah, so essentially experiences, just trying to have as much experience as you can, learning from your PI. Because I saw Dr. Elvani's talk at APS, and I felt like he did a great job in explaining the importance of his work and how it relates to other people's works, and that also inspired me a little bit. But essentially, an experience is just trying to have as much experience as you can from people who know what they're doing. Essentially.
I think I would sum it up with wordology. It's not an actual word, but basically, especially when I'm over Washington, I was working with chemistry, which I'm really not comfortable with. And there was a moment where you see other research groups and other disciplines say the same things or inquiring about the same things, but they're just using different verbiage. And then it's like the art of trying to find that common ground and trying to say, how do you express this? Okay, this is what, when I say coupling, you may mean this, or whatever it is the difference might be, and kind of finding that common ground when finding how they express that.
I just want to add, also asking questions, right? So make you ask the people you're talking to questions, just to make sure that you get whatever point you're trying to get across, right? So just try to be as inquisitive as you can, and making sure that you either sow the seed of curiosity, or you satisfy the curiosity.
Whitney also asked a little bit about just the day-to-day of how you do that. There's been a lot of interdisciplinary talk, do you guys transfer physical samples? Do you make materials for other labs? How do you collaborate across PREM?
So, okay. In that case, yeah, so there's we email each other, essentially sending up times to exchange these samples. And then as we exchange these samples, we talk about what we plan to do with these samples or what they need from me, for example. So in the case of I give some samples to Tamar that she presents on, it was a good invitation. Essentially when I gave them to her, she returned them out, I told them how to prepare them. And then my expectations of what she could do with them or whatever it may be, and then she returned them, she let me know what she would need. So essentially just having an idea of what you provide and what they need, that facilitates the entire process. Hopefully that answers your question. Anyone else?
Yeah.
Yeah, please.
Who else have questions? Let's see. Okay, and then.
Micah, Javier.
Please, let's have all the questions.
I see. Okay, this isn't necessarily okay, it could be for me. But yeah, the undergrads, how was it starting off, beginning rough shows with the big boys, or even the grad students too. So can you talk about that process? Yeah, how was it, running shows with the big boys, But like undergrad, working in grad students, like how was it? How did you feel? Like your experience with an RE when you were in Washington, living in grad students now, like as you started off, how that feel? Like the only year you know right now, but you were once the first time, so if you could talk about it a little bit. Basically.
Next person. Due to the.
Okay, so quite a few of you mentioned like your kind of roles that you played in publications, or your first author, or just mentioned in the paper. And I was wondering if you guys could like walk us through that process, or like, how do you know when you're ready to publish something, or how do you know that you have enough data or something like that? Like, what is that process of starting a publication or being involved?
Yeah, my question's kind of simple. What's your favorite part about your lab? That's it. I just want to know, like, everyone's like experiences and what they plan on using those experiences for. What they plan on using those experiences for, like, future work. So it's favorite part.
Another question. Fourth one.
TJ's writing them now.
What did you just say?
Cool, that's good.
What's your favorite part of your research or your lab? Yeah.
I'm not sure if you guys already talked about this, but what do you guys do outside of the lab?
Good question. All right.
I think I can start with the first one.
Yeah, so how do you,
Yeah. Yeah, the question was, how did I feel when I first started basically PREM? It was scary. It was really scary working with two grad students who are very smart, and it was very scary to ask questions. Yeah, it was intimidating. But then I got to meet everyone and see how the lab worked and seeing the routines, and I got comfortable enough to ask questions, and then it became easy. You learn as you go, so it's good.
Where do we want? I got first. Well, because I was an undergrad.
Oh, yeah.
So will I.
So we were all.
Like I was saying, extremely intimidating. I think I want to say the same month or a few weeks into joining in Humanities Lab, I had to get a convert at STEMS 2023. At that time, no idea what I was talking about. Completely realized. But now looking back, I don't want to say expert yet, but I'm very knowledgeable of the field now. If I could go back and do it again, or like talk to my old self, like I would have players stuff like that. But it's very intimidating at first, but if you stick to it and just keep learning, you'll definitely become an expert.
I don't know how many people have seen the movie Oppenheimer, but when he really starts in the lab at the very beginning of the movie, and he goes to Niels Bohr, and Niels Bohr tells you need to go somewhere that he didn't let you think. I think that kind of sums up how it was a relief to work with people that allow each other to think, allow each other to actually put things to do like a mind map, to experiment, to find solutions to problems that don't have solutions. And yeah, it was a relief. I would sum it up as.
The safety to fail.
And so in my case, I want to enter perspective with grad students, interfacing with professors and on postdocs. So, people, past my, I guess, stage in life. So of course, when I was an undergrad, I was extremely, they still are amazing people, but as a grad student and having more knowledge in my field, I learned that they are, they're also human beings like the rest of us. They're very sympathetic to what I'm going through because they, of course, want to do the same thing. And so, even if I do make some mistakes and explain certain things, or I fail to explain certain things the right way, or I leave a lot of open questions, they are very skillful at letting you know, like, oh, maybe you should say it this way, maybe you should have mentioned this, or maybe don't say that, maybe talk about that, etc., etc. But essentially, it's just yeah. So like once I started interfacing with these really, really smart people, really well-established people, I learned that they are very sympathetic, right? So we're all the same train of science and will.
We're on, maybe for the sake of time, maybe we should just do
The next question.
The next question was, how do you know when to publish and how do you know you have enough data? Your professor tells you, You kind of have, the way I'm taught at least, is you're writing a story essentially. And it's pretty difficult at the beginning to know how to start that story and how to end that story, but that kind of comes with time. And once you have enough data to complete that story, then you're ready to publish. But and that's very broad and general because we're all interdisciplinary. So a physics story might be completely different from a material science story or a biology story. So it just kind of depends on your particular.
So yeah, so I mean, I go in there, your professor is at the end of the day the one that decides when you're ready to start writing, to finish writing, to submit and all that. However, you can get a general idea of this sort of stuff just by reading, right? Making sure that you like involve yourself in the literature, so you can see how people substantiate their arguments and provide the evidence needed to say whatever they need to say. And you can see what constitutes like a complete paper and a complete argument. So just make sure you're reading, make sure you're yeah, make sure you're reading essentially. I think that's the biggest advice that I could give. And then do what your professor tells you to do.
Anybody else want to add anything on this? Yeah.
Next one is favorite part of the lab. There's a lot. There's a lot of things I like doing in the lab. I would have to say, I guess our deposition machine, because that's what kind of, I don't know, it's. I'll come back.
I've seen in the same lab.
I'll have the same answer, because I think that his question was for like, what's your favorite machine in your lab? And the machine that my project is based on is a home build powder atomic layer deposition reactor. I think it's pretty cool, and I'm still learning stuff about it. It's always the same, so.
My answer. I would say the favorite part of the lab is the people. I really like working with them. I didn't think about it, but yeah, so it's a very supportive environment, especially among other scholars as well. Like working with them and collaborating. Kind of feels like one big lab, we all collaborate, we send samples, we get samples, we do something weird to it and send it back. And it's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess besides people, also like people. But another thing that I like about the lab is just being able to travel. Like within our lab, I get to travel to all these different places. Back in undergrad, before that, never traveled really besides like southern, like US. But being able to go to like Boston, go to Princeton, go to California all these times. I really do like that, being able to explore different different places. That's what I really like.
The lasers, make me feel like in Star Wars because we use infrared to make green. And you like smash infrared into the crystal, and the crystal then, with the second round creates green. It's like when I first saw that, I thought we were in the future, and then I realized we're not because it's now.
So similar to the rest, I would say also the people in my lab now and in the past as well. But I think the biggest thing that I enjoy about being in Dr. Connor's lab, and I guess as an extension of PREM would be like the opportunity, right? So the opportunity to travel, but also the opportunity to interface with a lot of very intelligent people and learn things from them. And I don't think that would have been possible without the opportunities that Dr. Connor provides to me and other students in my lab, which is traveling to conferences so I can meet and also like communicating with
Sounds like a great professor.
No, you do say anything. You didn't. I lost my train of thought, but opportunity, yes. There was one. I think I lost it. It's fine. That's true. It's okay. Yeah, opportunity.
Last question.
What do you do outside of the lab? Yeah.
We're supposed to be outside all night.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's outside?
there's an outside.
There's an outside. It tends to be more on the breaks, like winter break and stuff like that, but I guess not everyone, but even then, I'm still allowed. Other engineering stuff, I'm a weird guy, so like I'll do audio engineering or I'll build keyboards or something. Just something else that's not, there's no pressure, right? Like I can build, I can use this, I can fail, and the lab, something on occasion, the lab, does not pay for it. So it's like, I can just learn about something else, this random engineering gadget. And yeah, it's kind of a lot of video games.
Aside from like, video games and catching up on like sleep and stuff like that, I do enjoy like traveling. We're kind of in like the sweet spot in Orlando, where it's like kind of a hub for like flights and stuff like that, but there's like some pretty cheap flights to just like random one-off cities that I've never been to. And I think the last one I went to, it was me, another PREM student, and then like two other grad students, booked like a $50 flight to somewhere on the border of Canada and walked around a national park for the weekend and then came right back. So it's relatively cheap and it's very relieving to just like kind of get away from technology and just be outside and walking around and stuff like that. So that's what I like to do.
In my case, I think I touched upon it earlier, just seeing my friends, be like friends from I guess my undergraduate degree as well as high school and all that. So just like communicating with them and then seeing them and going out and doing fun things. Um, as well as I love eating, so I love food. Like TJ will tell you, calls me a big fan food said.
Wow.
Oh my God.
So yeah, just like I mean, Milan has a lot of great things, those spots. So just like being able to just start out these different scenes is so awesome. Yeah, I guess it's personal interest at the end of the day.
I do not involve in that.
Except for not
I take it in stride.
Hiking. Every weekend over the summer, we were at a different mountain. I got to like hike right down to the first borough of Mount Rainier. And I grew up in Florida. This is as flat as it gets. We're basically underwater. And yet I've never seen a mountain like Mount Rainier, so it was amazing. I hate the heat, so the cold over there. So I have the second you yeah, nature.
Okay, any other question, any last thought? Maybe summarize, anybody want to say just one word, one sentence to finish?
So when are you becoming a professor?
One word, summarizing your
One
experience.
sentence,
One
somebody
sentence.
want to say a sentence or something. Oh, there is a question, yes.
Yeah.
All right, let me get this, that's a very important question, okay?
So it's a little bit related to what curious to talk about activities outside your research and things like that. But I'm wondering if any of you do any sports? You mentioned hiking, okay, then we do video games. I don't think it's more than this is different.
Or I'm just gonna say there's a reason why I'm in physics. I'm not a sports guy. I watch sports, that's the extent of it, but participating in sports, not so much.
I played ultimate frisbee actually. It's really fun. Yeah. I used to do a lot of sports, but then I started grad school and it kind of like died off. But I still like to get out and play ultimate frisbee a lot. So.
I just want to say, so when I was a graduate student, there was a lot of tension and a lot of pressure. So I would go running. I was in Boston, so I would go running along the river, and that really helped me clear my mind. And many times I was thinking about my projects. So should I do or something? But it was like really, really helpful to do some physical activity.
Definitely.
I have a blue belt in jiu-jitsu and I would compete all the time. I haven't trained a little bit because of the lab school, but yeah, jiu-jitsu and judo a lot. Shout out to American hockey.
And then in my case, similar to many things I not to athletic personally, but I do like going to the gym a lot, and I guess that's where I get my physical activity, if you will. If I have any frustrations, I just sort of very heavy weights, the frustrations leave.
Okay, do you really have to ask that question?
No, it's just one question.
Okay, all right, what is
This
it?
one's for Dylan.
Question for Dylan, okay?
When's the last time you went to the gym?
Last weekend.
Oh,
This last week I was busy preparing the presentation. But yeah, last weekend. Thank you for checking back.
Well, I think, do you want to say? Yeah. Okay. A big round of applause for our lovely participants. Okay, so you may go and take your seat. And that comes to the end of this, symposium. And we're just going to postpone because we're going to reconvene another year, another time. So you're not going to say that's really the end.